the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Here.
Present.
Here.
I offer it. Second. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and the government established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of police officer for the Borough of Highland, according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Welcome aboard, guys. Stay safe and congratulations. And we're on.
Okay, the first item we have is the consent agenda.
235, number 3, 6.
Can you give me numbers?
Yeah, 3. We've got the resolution.
Yeah.
235, 238, and 239.
So you want to make an offer, Doug, to do that separately?
Sure. Yeah.
Offered by Mr. Park.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Ryan. Mr. Park.
Yes.
Ms. King. Yes. Mr. Redmond.
Yes.
Ms. Ryan.
Yes.
Mayor Knoll.
Yes.
1 second.
Take time.
Okay, we'll start with our
Let's start with 235, right?
Yeah, Pat might be able to answer this. Can you explain the transfer of the funds, 6,000 the first day, what's happened there?
14,235 specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Pat.
Basically, out of their municipal budget, their line items pretty much it's fully expended already, and they have a few more expenditures that are forthcoming for the month of December. Is that the 10th, I think?
Yeah. There was part of emergency from Sandy, some unanticipated expenses that they incurred. So we knew at that point they were probably going to be going over the budget. So we recommended that they put a request in to us, and if we could, we would try to help them out.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned there. It's that's what I was told, they went over budget a month ago, they were on the budget a month or so ago, now they're over budget. It seems to be.
They had some emergency expenditures come up that they incurred in their facility, and they needed assistance to get that repaired.
Okay.
Are you satisfied with that?
Yeah, I guess for right now, but we just gotta make sure we're being fiscally responsible, you know. What's concerning me is to be under budget less than a month
30
ago,
days later.
and then 30 days later be over budget by 6. Emergencies or not, I know the building is in sad state of affairs, but
Can we ask the question? I guess it begs to be asked. What was the exact,
yeah.
like, in other words, when did the emergency happen? In the last 30 days?
There were some within the last 45 days. There was some expenditures on equipment that were unanticipated. I think they had a hot water heater go that wasn't under warranty. So there were some build-in function issues that we felt needed to get done.
Okay. And they ran that by you, Mr. Hill, and you made the decision?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I mean, not much we can do about it. I think we need to keep a watch and eye on that and come transferring funds like that.
Okay.
Someone offer a motion to approve?
I'll offer it.
Offered by Mayor Nolan,
Second.
second by Mr. Carr. Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Ms. Kane? Yes. Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan?
Yes. 14, I think 238 is the next one?
Yes.
Okay.
What's the number of calls that were filed in 911? We've done a cost analysis between Gwinnett County and keeping it in-house.
Well, this is, yeah, I mean, I let the chief digress, this is like a dual dispatch type
Yeah.
thing, so it's.
This is for 911.
Okay.
We don't have the facilities or the equipment to do 911. We would need at least 2 dispatchers and additional equipment. So for this is specific for 911, and I believe it's the dual dispatch and the fire department also.
Keeps the radios complete, right?
Yes.
Right. Because I know in the budget, are your dispatch, maybe I'm confusing the two. Dispatch, the overtime, it's been a little heavy the past couple.
The overtime, not the dispatch, but the overtime. You have to be down to 11 guys on the road. So it can expand.
Now, is that associated with this, 911 this, or not?
No.
Okay, so that's my question, okay? I'm satisfied with that.
Okay.
Someone offer a motion?
I'll offer it.
Offered by Mayor Nolan,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Carr. Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Ms. Kane? Yes. Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan?
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution R 14-239.
This one is, about the Tim. I know this is for both mold as well as the grants, but it's mandatory sessions. Did we meet that mandatory session?
Yes.
What, thank you.
Yes.
That was my question.
Yeah, we were involved with that. Actually, Millennium Strategies brought this particular one to our attention. We weren't sure how we were going to implement the actual program, but I thought it was worth making an attempt to apply for. And Millennium did go to the sessions on our behalf.
Good? Okay, I'll offer that, Carol.
Offered by Mayor Nolan,
I'll second that.
seconded by Ms. Ryan. Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Ms. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan?
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution R 14-234, resolution awarding funds.
Is that it?
Yes, I will.
Yes.
Hey, Carol, by the way, I should have abstained on November 15th.
All right, let's move that.
Sorry about that. It's on the second page.
On November?
I wasn't here on the 5th. I was-
Got it. Resolution R 14-234, resolution awarding contract for Bay Street retaining wall.
Who's speaking to this guy? Anybody?
Yeah.
I can speak to it, Mayor. This is basically the retaining wall that's failing up on Bay Street, up where the water company was just working. It's a wall, it's an old wood retaining wall it needs to be repaired to hold our road back from the adjacent properties.
Benefit of the public, what are we looking at, dollars and cents?
The low bid came in, I believe, I'm looking for it now, I believe it's about 237,000.
Okay. And went out to bid, obviously, the process.
Yeah, it actually went out to bid twice. The first time the bids were rejected because they were too high.
Okay.
Second time they came in more favorable.
Why do I have 271?
I think, yeah.
I was just looking for a number, Carol. I don't have.
Oh, okay.
I'm not reading off the paper.
Okay, sorry.
There's
I just wanted to-
two bids, 247 and 271.
Yeah. Second document of 247.
The resolution's right. I remember reading the resolution. Here it is. Yeah, 271,303 is the actual number.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I found it. There's no picture, so I'm kind
Make
of.
sure everybody understands what we're voting on. Yep.
My question is, Dale, the 209 engineering estimate, is that on top of that?
No. That's what we anticipated based on unit prices, what we thought it should have come in at.
Okay.
But because it's such a small project, the prices went up. And, we've been seeing an escalation of unit costs around the region recently anyway.
Okay.
So it just seems to be more in line with that. That's not on top, that just gives you a basis.
All right, thank you.
Anybody have thoughts there?
All over.
Offered by Mr. Hart,
I'll second.
second by Mayor Nolan. Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Kane? Yes. Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan.
Yes.
Moving on to ordinances, on for introduction, setting up a public hearing date of January 7th, 2015. It's ordinance 014-34, an ordinance vacating the right-of-way easement reserved to Atlantic Coast Enterprises and conveyed to the Atlantic County Regional Sewer Authority over a portion of Wilbur Street.
This is just to set the public hearing?
Yes.
And the date is November, I'm sorry,
January 7th.
Okay, I'll offer it.
Offered by Mayor Nolan.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Redmond. Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Kane? Yes. Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan.
Yes.
On for introduction, setting up a public hearing date for January 7th, it's ordinance 0-14-35, an ordinance amending chapter 10, building and housing of the Borough Code to create a vacant property registration process.
For January 7th, I'll offer that.
Offered by Mayor Nolan.
I'll second that.
Second by Ms. Ryan. Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Kane? Yes. Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan.
Yes, please.
On for introduction, setting up a public hearing date for ordinance 01436. It is an ordinance authorizing the Borough of Highlands to amend and supplement section 7-324 and 7-4 of the Borough Code to prohibit parking on Twin Terrace at the intersection of Lighthouse Road and Twin Lakes Terrace and the entire south side of Twin Lakes Terrace, and to designate Twin Lakes Terrace as a one-way street from Lighthouse Road towards South Beach Street.
And this is for the 7th also?
Correct.
I'll offer it.
Offered by Mayor Nolan.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Hart. Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Kane? Yes. Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan.
Yes.
On for introduction, setting of a public hearing date for January 7th is ordinance 0-14-37, an ordinance of the Borough of Highlands in the County of Monmouth and the State of New Jersey, authorizing the Borough of Highlands Construction Office to accept certified checks or a money order in lieu of a personal check.
I'll offer that for the 7th.
Offered by Mayor Nolan. Second. Second by Ms. Kane. Mr. Hart? Ms. Kane? Yes. Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan.
Yes.
On for second reading and public hearing at this time is ordinance 0-14-25. An ordinance authorizing the Borough of Highlands to place a stop sign at the intersection of Orchard Avenue and Ocean Boulevard. This is published in the October 31st edition of the New York Times. Now we open to the public.
We'll open the public hearing for 14-25.
Is that going to be?
Name and address, please.
Carol, is that going to be where the East Point driveway comes out?
Yes.
That's fine.
We'd say better late than never. Does anybody have any other comments in this public hearing? No. Close it.
On for final reading and adoption is ordinance 0-14-25, an an ordinance authorizing the Borough of Highland to set a stop sign at the intersection of Orchard Avenue and Ocean Boulevard.
I'll offer.
Offered by Mayor Nolan.
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. King. Mr. Park?
Yes.
Ms. King? Yes. Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan.
Yes.
On for second reading and public hearing is ordinance 0-14-29, an ordinance repealing section 2-33, Highlands Declaration Commission, and assigning the functions, duties, and responsibilities of the Declaration Commission to the governing body of the Borough of Highlands. This is published in the Two River Times also.
We'll open 14-29. Any questions?
What is the purpose of the dissolution of this commission?
Put it bluntly, there's not a lot happening, so we could only have 2 council people there, so we wanted to take out that responsibility on ourselves as a council.
And is there some loss in the ability of that organization to communicate with the borough as a result of that?
Not to my knowledge. I think it was pretty much unanimously decided up here that we weren't getting things that we were asking for, and there was a lot of meetings didn't happen. No fault to anybody, just it wasn't happening. So with the deadline of that lease coming up, I think it's within a year now. We have to kind of decide what we're doing going forward. Well, we all kind of broke apart certain things that were happening for that commission, and we're all assigned 1 task or 2 to bring back to the table. And we're hoping by January we have something together where we can figure out what we want to do, and quite possibly put out a request for ideas for down there.
Simply, we were getting no feedback from it.
And nothing there.
And nothing, we requested time and time again, enough excuses, and we have to be proactive on that.
Deadline's coming up.
So, people put us up there to get this done, that's what we need to do.
Agreed. Any other comments or concerns? Okay. Close the public hearing.
On for final reading and adoption is ordinance 0-14-29, an ordinance repealing section 2-33, Highlands Declaration Commission, and assigning the functions, duties, and responsibilities of the Declaration Commission to the governing body of the Borough of Highlands.
I'll offer.
Offered by Mayor Nolan.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Redmond. Mr. Park?
Yes.
Ms. King? Yes. Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan.
Yes.
On for second reading and public hearings, ordinance 0-14-30, an ordinance authorizing the private sale of certain property owned by the Borough of Highlands, not required for a public purpose pursuant to NJSA 48:12-13.
Bruce, can you tell everybody where it is in the land?
Sure. Block 72, Lot 2, it's a small parcel on Bay Avenue by Atlantic Street. There's a municipally owned lot there. And we've actually already received some bids on it, which are below the reserve price that we had. They kind of jumped the gun a little bit. But this is just the process we have to go through. So this private sale bid is for continuous owners only at this point.
Okay.
If the bids aren't received or sold, then we go to public auction.
Okay, we'll do a public hearing on that, 14-30.
Kim Swarka, 315 Short Drive. It's my understanding that if no bids come in at the $60,000 reserve, that it's not going to be sold. Is that correct?
And it's not going. I don't know where you got that understanding from. I mean, it won't be sold privately, but it could still be sold if you don't get 60,000.
Okay, so it's just going to go to the highest bidder at this point.
No, if there's no bids for 60 or more, then we come back and there's a public auction.
Okay.
So
That includes
Yes, then you can
non-contiguous
sell it.
property.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that it's going to get sold, we're going to get tax dollars, we're going to stop maintaining it, that's all.
Yes.
it sounds like that's the direction.
Okay, thank you.
Name and address?
Yes, Barbara Iannucci, 28 Shrewsbury Avenue. Has this at all been considered for open space? I know it's a very small lot, but the CRS program now is really increasing their points for anything you can do with open space. Is this lot is that just not an option for this lot in that part of Bay Avenue?
It's a vacant lot currently.
I know, oh, I mean, yes,
Yeah.
but you may be able to
That's
utilize
why we
it.
didn't consider it as a size.
At the size of it, I think.
Yeah,
not
but
much
But
you
it
said-
was so small, Barbara, and it's not directly on Bay Ave.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
It's
is.
on the side, it's
Yeah.
My mistake, sorry.
No, I'm
It's
just-
tiny.
I mean, if you didn't get the bid you wanted, you might be able to get a benefit with CRS points rather than just
Yeah.
give it to somebody that can't do anything with it. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll close the public.
On final reading and adoption is ordinance 0-14-30, an ordinance authorizing the private sale of certain property owned by the Borough of Highlands, not required for public purposes pursuant to NJSA 48:12-33.
All three.
Offered by Mayor Nolan.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Kane. Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond? Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan.
Yes.
On the second reading of public hearing is ordinance 0-14-31, an ordinance supplementing section 4-9 mercantile licenses to permit background checks by an entity other than the Independent Criminal Record Distributed background checks.
Chief, you got, you're okay with this?
Yeah, so we're going
Feel about it. Okay.
This doesn't remove what you have now, it just provides an alternate.
Right, just put
Claims
the law
for
in the
merchants.
Okay. Let's open 1431. Any questions? Mercantile, license ordinance, kind of being hopefully made easier for people to go through the process.
I was just going to make that comment.
Name and address.
62 Bradley Point.
We're hoping that it's,
Yeah, I think
That was what we're
it's,
talking
you know, eliminate some of
we've seen it go back and forth over 15 years. And, okay. Any other questions or concerns? No. Seeing none, I'll close it.
On the final reading and adoption of ordinance 0-14-31, and ordinance supplementing section 4-9 mercantile licenses to permit background checks by an entity other than for fingerprint criminal record history background checks.
Mr. Carter, open it. I'll second
Offered
it.
by Mr. Card, seconded by Mayor Nolan. Mr. Card?
Yes.
Ms. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan?
Yes.
The next ordinance, well, we have to review the planning board recommendations for ordinance 0-14-33.
Does everyone have the planning board resolution? They found that the proposed amendment, this dealt with bungalow colonies, and Dale can talk more about the substance of it individually. But they found that it's consistent with the master plan. They recommended defining bungalow colony and recommending that a CO be required for seasonal rentals, and also recommend amending a section of the proposed ordinance to exempt from the site plan requirement any application that is filed to elevate the structure to mitigate a flood issue. If you want to make those changes, we could do that. I don't think that really changes the substance of it, or the recommendations don't even change the essence of it at this point. They are recommendations you could do, or you could just go forward regardless of the recommendation.
Kevin and I sit on the planning board. I think it was pretty much unanimous that we wanted to include them. So with that, I'll let you guys sort it out what you want to do, and then we'll do the public hearing. So I can include the planning
Well,
board.
yeah, I'll go into
If you want to include them,
recommendations.
then including them would change the substance of it somewhat.
Okay.
So I would recommend we reintroduce it next, we have a meeting next week, we'll just
With
reintroduce it
the-
as a first
with
word,
the
but it would have to.
Okay.
Everybody okay?
So let's table it now.
Yeah, I'm okay, because I was at
I'm there, I am.
I'm comfortable with it.
Okay.
All right, so we table 33?
Well,
For now.
you have to read.
It would just be tabled, we'll reintroduce it. Yeah, we'd have to
You got
reintroduce
enough
it.
time?
Well, I'd have to rewrite it, you'd have to adopt it at first reading.
Yeah, it would just be an introduction, so I don't have to do
Okay,
it.
perfect.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll do that then, that's going to the.
So Mayor Nolan made a motion to accept the recommendations,
Correct.
seconded by
Second.
Mr. Redmond, Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Ms. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Nolan?
Yes.
Okay, on for second reading and public hearing at this time is ordinance 0-14-33, an ordinance amending section 21-86 of the Borough Code exempting existing bungalow colonies from certain bulk and area requirements.
Okay. Open the public hearing, 1433. We're gonna do another public hearing next week, Councilor?
Oh, yes, say it then.
Okay. Close the public hearing. Okay, I want to make sure we're all requiring it to amend.
Sorry.
Okay,
Then we go on to financial part.
okay.
Committee board.
Mr. de Blasio?
Okay, so on November 13th, we had our special emergency note come in and it matured. So we had a special emergency note outstanding for $3,360,000. And we had some reductions in there with pay downs, and we had some FEMA proceeds there. So we had to reissue the new note for $1,644,000. And we got that note at a rate of 1.625%. So considering that this emergency started at 4.2 million, and we're currently down to 1,644,000 in 2 years, is pretty good movement on that pay down. In addition, we had a bond anticipation note maturing. So we also rolled that over, and that was for 2,765,000. We got an interest rate of 1.5%. We held our online tax sale December 1st. We generated $78,000 in revenues, and we had $215,600 in premiums paid to us. So this was really put out there online. We didn't have to have anybody come into the town hall, make any bids. Everything was done all throughout the whole United States, and we had really fantastic results. The other thing that I want to report on is I've been asked if we can provide online tax payments where people can just go to our webpage and click on a button and start paying some taxes and sewer fees online. So we can do that. The cost of that is a $2,400 maintenance charge per year.
Oh, every year?
It's every year, but I'm experiencing that. I've been negotiating with our admin's computer system, which really handles the whole thing, so we cut that in half. So we can do this for $1,200 a year, which is an excellent price. And if we do consider that, I'd like to consider that for 2015.
Have you had that in your other account? Now, do the rates go up at all? Or, you know,
The
collection rate?
Does the collection rate go up? No, it gives people more options. They can pay by debit
I'm all
card,
for
credit
that. I
card.
just, want to see what impact.
No, we do have an increase. It's constantly used. We must get in my town there at least 500 hits a year.
Okay.
And we just had it in for 1 year now.
Okay.
So it's just an option for people to go ahead, log in, and make payments.
I think we would see a difference here, because we don't even send you the envelope or anything and send it back. I mean,
Yeah.
I have people just like.
I know we've been talking about it, it's financing and everything, so.
And that's it.
So
Okay. Any
should
questions?
we vote on, give it a hundreds or move forward with it, or?
Do we as a council want to go forward? I think we should. Okay. Does anybody have an objection?
Now I think it's $1,200.
Do we need to spend $1,200 in the resolution consensus?
At this point, no.
Purchase order.
Pat, are you gonna, yeah.
We would just issue a purchase order and it'd be approved through the normal
It sounds like
process.
it's favorable by the 5 of us, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You can go through the process,
More
that'd
apps
be great.
to
Thanks,
pay
Pat.
their bills in a timely fashion.
Public safety?
It's in my report. Any questions or comments? I can reduce the money to Friday, 8 to 4.
Administration, Mr. Hill?
Yes, Mayor, thanks. I just want to give an update with regards to the Borough Hall and Community Center facilities. I did report to the governing body that we met with FEMA again this week and the state representatives, and they've guaranteed us, I say that lightly, that they're going to have their review back to us by Christmas in terms of the maximum dollars that the borough is going to be eligible for. So we've been waiting for that. We've made progress. We're continually meeting with them, and that's the next target date. The New Jersey DCA Unsafe Structures Program, they've still been in contact with us weekly. They haven't made determinations, final determinations on what properties are going to be considered for that project. They're actually the ones that are taking the initiative to contact property owners directly and then try to find out who's eligible and who's not. They manage the whole program, so we're hoping that those funds come in as well. We also have our appeal with FEMA with the private property demo program, and they told us that we'll have a firm answer, a final answer within 90 days on that appeal. So we're looking forward to using both those programs if possible to identify and possibly remove unsafe structures that have been identified over the last 6 months to a year. Not going to be able to take care of all of them, but we're hoping to put a dent in some of them. Public Works did report, of course, that bulk pickup was scheduled for December. Brush and leaf pickup was held in November. It does continue into December. They've done general rounds, basic cleanouts, and responded to sewer issues. We did have an emergency repair that had to be performed up on the hill, I think around the 157 Portland Ave. There was a sewer break that was our responsibility that had to be repaired on an emergency basis. We had the bid openings for the street sweeper. The bids are under review, and we've been notified by the unsuccessful bidder that he plans to file what would be considered a protest of the bid.
Based on?
There's some differences in the bid. It really has to flesh out. The specs and the alternatives that were provided, they have a right to do that if they choose. And very cordial, but they've notified us today that they intend to file on that. We are accepting applications still for seasonal snow removal personnel. Construction office, I have no report that's been provided to me this evening. Zoning office had 8 approvals, 6 letters of compliance, and 2 flood zone inquiry letters. Under floodplain, 16 approvals, 2 denials, and 1 request for an ordinance change, which Mr. Lubner was working on. Code enforcement had 21 inspections, 4 failed, 19 COs were issued, 1 violation was corrected, and the code enforcement, in deference to the ordinance that we're doing for vacant properties, reported that he's aggressively putting that list together again and cross-referring to other lists that we have so that we'll be ready to go when that ordinance is enacted with regards to the vacant properties. Recreation Department Kids on the Move program is still in effect Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays here. Senior Citizen Group is actively meeting again. They're very happy to be meeting at the VFW currently. So we applaud their efforts of reorganizing and getting back into the fold a little bit. Teen nights have been held. Men's basketball league ended November 18th. With upcoming events, they did want me to highlight that the adult open gym program that we run every winter will be starting actually tonight through March 25th at Henry Hudson Regional. Rec Department is working with the business partnership and other partners with the tree lighting event. Holiday Helpers is an annual program that they run at Henry Hudson at, I don't have the exact date, unfortunately, but I think it's Saturday before. I wish I had the date.
It would be the 20th.
It may be up on.
The 20th.
Is it the 20th? Yeah. But anyway, that's an annual program. If parents want to go shopping or just, get some Christmas wrapping done, it's an annual program that we do in conjunction with the Key Club. Breakfast with Santa is also being held December 13th in cooperation with the Rec Department and the Key Club. Under administration, I want to make everyone aware that we did send out RFPs for the master plan. They're due back December 5th, and they will be reviewed to make recommendations to the planning board. We also put out RFPs for the NJEDA Streetscape Project Engineering Services. They're due back to us December 19th. We did receive additional grant funds from Monmouth County for the Municipal Alliance. Heather de Blasi, our Alliance Coordinator, reported that we received an additional $3,435 for a special program, and she did notify us that that was the largest additional amount given in the whole county. So our Alliance is very active in things like that. Monmouth County Park System Battery Lewis Restoration Project, with the moving of that gun eventually up the hill, is probably going to be postponed till the spring. They are dealing with the contractor. I think they've awarded potentially the bid, but they were trying to get that done in November, and that just didn't come to fruition. I think it's a little more technical project. Working with the QPA regarding state contract for fuel card services, it could allow us to result in significant savings and potential 1% return on costs incurred over the year. So we're going to be looking at that. It is under state contract, and it's a way that we might want to push forward. Like I mentioned before, workforce development, we have been notified that the NEG grant will be ending December 30th of 2014. The result of this will be loss of 5 temporary employees that have been continuing to assist various departments and functions. And that's my report for this evening. Any questions?
And actually, Tim, if I could just add, not that it's administration, but you had went through various events. Fire Department does have Toys for Tots on the 21st of December. The Sunday before, it starts at 1 o'clock. If there are needy families, you can go on our website and Captain Mike Armstrong, he's kind of coordinating all of it. You can email him directly, let him know who is in need, and they do a good job of taking care of the families in need.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Thank you, Deb. We have the Board of Ed report next from Ms. Ryan.
Okay, most of you know that we now have one superintendent for the Tri-District. It is the second person in that position, Dr. Susan Compton. And under her direction, first of all, there was a strategic planning session for the Tri-District where all Pupil Highlands were invited to come, and many of us who are here tonight actually attended that session. It was on a Saturday morning, not this past weekend, the weekend before. The results of that will be published and everyone will be able to see them, but it was just a really wonderful event with so many people who, I was surprised at some of the people who showed up, that residents really are taking an interest, so that was a very good thing. And also, there is now a Tri-District Foundation, also started under the direction of Dr. Susan Compton. It had kicked off about 6 weeks ago, and the function is to find funds and mentoring projects for the students, for special projects in all 3 schools, but especially up in Henry Hudson, because Henry Hudson Regional School is in the process of becoming a series of academies. And they hope to be able to attract students from all over the Bay Shore as a magnet school. And we have sat on a committee, including Tim Hill has been up there, and the mayor also is on this, and our elected officials, our county officials are very much involved, and Senator Corrillis actually requested a special meeting with us last week. And we really think that this can move forward, and the plan is to have this academy open in 2017. So I think it's a wonderful thing to Highlands. The school is really improving all the time. All the schools are, all 3 of the schools. And I'll be continuing to give updates on what's going on, and anyone who contacts me if you have specific questions.
The only thing
Jim,
I would add, if that's okay, is that
Yeah.
our counterparts from Atlantic Islands are there also. And I would tell you that Dr. Compton has everything on the table, everything that's been talked about in this town, at least the last 10 years, we were to 3 schools, what we're going to do moving forward, buildings, you know, lesson plans, everything else, everything's on the table. It's not discounting or removing anything from consideration.
So I think it's very exciting time for the town. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Carla, Highlands Business Partnership?
For the Marketing and Events Committee, the Oktoberfest scheduled for October 4th. We used the rain date of October 5th. The attendance was a little lower due to the rain date. The total income was $17,539, and the total expenses were $14,571. The holiday tree lighting will take place on December 5th with the rain date of the 6th, 6 p.m. at Huddy Park, and Henry Hudson Acapella Choir, Highlands Girl Scout Troop, Carol Lane dancers will be performing. There'll be free hot chocolate and goodies courtesy of the Highlands Rec Department, free horse and buggy rides courtesy of the HPP. We'll be holding the 2nd annual Holiday Lights Contest, open for any residential home within the Highlands Borough limits. Entry forms are on highlandsnj.com. You must register by December 19th. Judging will take place on the 20th. There'll be up to $600 in big bucks awarded. It's $300 first place, $200 second place, $100 third place. For visual improvement, the fall decorations in public areas, including ones at the highway sign, corn stalks, and scarecrows on Bay Avenue, Veterans, and Huddy, in time for the fall events. The holiday decorations include installation of lights on the Huddy Park fence. I want to acknowledge Ken Brazo and Diane Keating for installing those lights. 65 candy canes were installed on Bay Avenue, the parks, the highway signs, the welcome signs. Fresh green roping, red bows were placed at the fencings in the park. The 2 trees, Cornwall Square, Huddy Park, all decorations were funded by HPP, installed by volunteers and HPP staff. HPP also hired in the garden to decorate the planters on Bay Avenue and the bulkhead sign. The Economic Development Committee on October 11th, a volunteer crew of 10 deconstructed the portion of Veterans Park boardwalk that will not be rebuilt. Barry Huffman and Tribos completed phase 1 of the drainage project as part of his barter agreement in Veterans Park. HPP has purchased the composite material for the new boardwalk. It's Tamco, Evergreen, Cape Cod Gray, and will coordinate delivery with Mr. Hill and Barry Huffman. For the Robin Hood Grant, 23 homes have been completed, 1 home is in progress, and 1 is pending bids. Final report will be submitted in December, to the end of December to Robin Hood. The HPP final board of directors meeting was held November 24th. Our 2015 event calendar, budget goals and objectives will be submitted to the council for approval by the required dates. We'd like to take this opportunity to wish everyone a happy and safe holiday season.
Thank you, Carl. So tree lighting this Friday, 6 o'clock, Cuddy Park, correct? Thank you for the record. Shared services, but I don't have anything right now. This one. Other business, North Street Pump Station project, is that you, Dale?
Yeah, I can talk to this, Mayor. As directed by council, I believe last meeting before last, there was interest in reincarnating this project, moving it back forward and moving forward to construction with it. I had resent everybody on council the maps, the plans that are in progress. What I need is to know if this is the station you want to continue to go with. And if so, then I will get something put together to finalize plans and move this out to construction. Current price tag for it is about $1.2 million on this station. And that's for the North Street station to replace what's there. It's storm resilient, it'll have 2 pumps, has a generator. The pumps are electric. This will have to go through the Tier 4 process like the Snug Harbor pump. But this would be something that wouldn't wash away as the other one did during Sandy.
I'd like to add that because I've been reviewing these projects with Gail. With the North Street pump, the repairing of that too, and correct me if I'm wrong, the CDBG is also having additional grants so that we can take care of the street to get the water to that. So by not having that pump in play, when we go for the other grants, we won't get it. So we need to really think about moving forward on this. Again, I've reviewed the plans and the electric versus diesel. This sums up for a couple of the projects further down Tier 2. It really sums it up. I don't think it's pretty much a no-brainer going with the electric with the year-to-year maintenance. It's a big thing here.
Right, that's the Snug Harbor layout.
Yeah.
But North Street, it's in the same thing.
Principles.
Exactly. We couldn't, the other thing with North Street, we couldn't meet the decibel requirements with a diesel at North Street because of the close proximity of the houses, basically adjacent to the station.
Since you brought it up, what's Snug Harbor coming in?
Snug Harbor, well, all right, let me switch off to that for a minute. Snug Harbor, I also sent you a memo outlining additional costs. Diesel versus electric, and that was requested by the subcommittee and council. So year one, the additional cost to implement the Tier 4, put the electric in, and what the electric does too is the generator is on its own station over by the community center and is sized large enough to not only power the station in the event of a power outage, but also power the community center. So it'll serve a dual purpose. The initial cost for that are additional $1.1 million, as opposed to $986,000 for diesel. All right. However, moving forward, even starting in year 2, the costs are, the operating costs for the diesel are about $300,000 a year, and they're about $70,000 for the electric. So you've already recouped your money on a turnaround in year 2, and moving forward, you're saving about almost $230,000 a year in operating costs and testing by going with electric pumps with a diesel backup generator at that location. And that'll be another one. Once you decide what you want to do, then I'll put something together to finalize the plans, get this out to construction, and we can move this project forward.
Well, I think my concern is what's the difference going to be on the flood mitigation project with all the upgrades? Like if we have to bond additional money and then we go 1.2 for pump stations and then we go X for that, what's left for facilities?
Well, the thing is, the money for North Street's already in place. We've already bonded that. The money for this stormwater project is already in place except for the additional Tier 4 measures.
Right, and what is that dollar going to be?
That dollar is going to be up front in a ballpark of another $1.1 million.
Some ballpark.
But again, this is an EPA mandate.
Yeah.
Something to.
Something to thought out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sad part about it is the mandates that are coming down with the diesels, it's brutal. I mean, just $130,000 mandatory testing every year by the state. It's a bill we're going to have to accept. Versus electric, I mean, there is maintenance 7. Think about that over the life of it. It adds up quickly. So yeah, the upfront cost is brutal. I'm not denying that, but the longevity cost savings is huge. And I'll leave this up here for you to even look at it. It's mind-boggling. And I've been reviewing it with Dale and then doing back checking on research and so forth and so on. To go diesel path, It's just opening up a can of worms later down the road for us, both DEP and maintenance. So,
Okay. So we've already bonded the 1.2 for North Street.
North Street's already bonded.
Okay.
All right, the stormwater project's already bonded except for the tier 4 upgrades
On Snug Harbor.
on Snug Harbor, right? And that's the overall drainage portion too, Mayor. That's all the other parts.
So
You
we're
guys
talking
already
about an
bonded.
additional 1.1 over everything else we bonded already.
Correct. All right, now obviously you could phase things and, you know,
Understood.
figure things out that way.
Hey, Pat, what are we looking at implication-wise, percentages, all that good stuff?
We'd have to look at that.
Okay. So it's fair to say we're not making any move on Snug right now anyway, because we gotta take a look at all that.
Sure.
Okay. What do you want to do with North Street Pump Station? Anybody want to make a move on that? Do you want to talk about it in 7 days?
I think we should move forward on it.
Okay.
Well, it's bonded, we gotta go.
On the premise that we don't want to jeopardize TDB grants that are coming down. We have to be aggressive on that. So we do have to get the water there. We have failed pipes leading to it.
Right. So would you like to offer the,
I-
for the next level?
I believe so.
Okay.
I'll offer that to the next level.
Sounds like you want a second.
I would like to second that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that okay with your roll call for that, to go to the next level?
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. King? Yes. Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Noel?
Yes.
And then,
And then Pat, you'll come back to us about the Snug Harbor additional costs at some
Sure.
point?
What would you like to know, the bonding?
Yeah, what it's gonna do to us, like we talk always about percentage of debt, you know, everything else, what it means dollars and cents. And
I don't want Mr. de Blasio on that and get you a cost.
now, we only have a meeting in 7 days and then it's in like 30, so is
Right.
it something we can know by 7 days? I don't wanna,
I have no problem.
okay, thank you.
So we'll do that next week?
Yeah, that would be, I guess, 7 days from today.
All right, now,
So,
to roll on to the next project.
which is D-Biz pipe
Right.
project.
Yeah, this has some good news. I'm gonna give you some good news. All right,
Should have been number 1, right?
well, you save the good news for last.
I always think, yeah.
Basically, trying to get this pipe to work, the original design was to get the pipe all the way down the hill to Bay, kind of across Bay Avenue towards the Snug Harbor, towards Jones Creek. And trying to get a storm chamber in there with the larger coil pipe and all the spaghetti strings of utilities you have at the intersection. It was almost impossible to get this through. What we've looked at is the potential of using that pipe that currently goes behind the bank, going into the existing concrete channel by VFW with some improvements, baffles to take the solids out
Have you
of there.
photographed that,
What?
pipe recently?
What's that?
The pipe, there's no I&I, nothing like that?
No, it wouldn't be I&I, it's a stormwater pipe, but that's one thing I would suggest we do, is take a look at that pipe, just make sure it's fine. But by going that route, I could save about $400,000 between hard and soft costs to do that and accomplish the same thing. We've got the concrete channel there already. I'd have to put some baffles in it to basically separate out the solids. It's already more of a sump system anyway. But we can accomplish the same thing by doing that instead of trying to mess around with the chamber that's going to be in the big project and relocating utilities and everything else down along Bay Avenue.
What do you need from us to look at it?
Basically, I sent you a copy of what I want to do. Let me know if that's what you want to pursue, and I will, I'll, take a look at the line and see if it works, and we'll move forward.
I
I
just want to add to that, because I think you wanted the failed pipes in the park.
Yeah, we want that, yeah, Mr. Carr, that's another thing. There is a failed corrugated metal pipe that goes from the old Waterwitch across Waterwitch Avenue, and it goes through the grass area of Honey Park on the Shore Drive
Which
side.
is why there's an issue.
That failed a while ago. We did a small repair on it, but the pipe needs to be replaced to the creek. That's a minimal cost, but that could be incorporated into this project.
Okay.
Right, because it cost savings. to do
Right.
that. But it's contingent that the pipes behind Valley National Pipe
Yes.
are videotaped.
Exactly. It'll be contingent upon, to make sure that's okay. That's what we'll do next, make sure we can use it. But there's no known issues with that pipe, to my knowledge. It's not, it's not the contaminant.
Okay. So it sounds like we want to go forward and make sure that works and it's good and it's solid, structurally sound.
And one of the reasons why the suggestion of using the VFW catch basin areas based on clean water action here, the sediment and catch traffic on music. You really want to stop from getting into the rivers. And that's something we can clean out without having to apply for a whole mess of permits. Right.
Right, and you can do it yourself, because you've got the Bobcat that does the skid steer. You don't need to hire separate contractors.
yeah,
And part of that cleanup, we discussed about putting a better, nicer looking fence, aesthetically making that a little bit more pleasing, so.
Yep.
The part
Very good, very good.
Okay.
wants to be discussed.
Sounds good. Website committee report, you doing something like
I would like to have my committee, okay? Complaint, I know has a broken toe, maybe she's not gonna stand, but, Al Pritchard, they have prepared a wonderful report.
I'm actually going to apologize to start all of this, because this was supposed to be much more easy today.
Okay, thank you.
We're going to work on
There is one, if you need it, there's one with larger print, Carolyn has two with larger print down
You
there.
can just send it electronically.
Oh, yeah, we will.
We also have that.
Okay.
Yeah, there's also an electronic copy. It'll be made available both to you guys and to the wider public.
Awesome. On the website or whatever.
Oh, yes.
It has all of the data that we collected from the survey and from the reviews, with the exception of the email addresses for people who.
Yeah.
Right. And then we'll also be sending out the report, link to that to the participants who provide their.
Okay.
And this is the link where you can see it, and public will have this as well. But Al's going to talk about the report itself, okay? This will be available to everybody. It's a beautiful report. It has a lot of information. I was really shocked. It's 75 pages. They did so many comparisons, but you speak, and then
Yeah,
I'll
we
talk
actually,
about the.
we did two things. So part of the effort that we've done so far has been the survey that went out. We had 140 some participants from the town who responded, which was a staggering response. So we were kind of really excited about that. We also looked at a number of what you consider comparative. So this kind of coming on the heels of what we saw from, I think Asbury Park Press released a nice little article about a week ago looking at some of the different municipal websites. So we looked at some that were local and some that were as far away as the UK to look for different patterns and different ways that municipalities are serving their town, serving their residents. So all of that comes up into this report. And then the next stage is to take this report to distill the desires and the needs and push those up into our RFP. And then the RFP can go out to bid hopefully. So I think our goal is to have the RFP ready by mid-January.
Okay, I was thinking the second meeting in January. Tim Hill has provided me with templates for that RFP, and what the committee will now do, we will meet again several times, and it's still, this is Al said, what the residents want. What changes need to be made, what we want to be made, what must be changed, what we'd like to change, what's good, what we keep. And we will put that in RFP form and deliver it to the council. Okay? So everybody can look at this. You can look at a hard copy tonight if you want up here, but you all have the information of where to go and review it. Anyone who answered the survey will also be able to get that directly.
We'll put it out in various.
It'll be all over, okay? I really want to thank Al and Jen for the amazing work that they did pulling this together. I know that there was another website committee going back several years, and I thought that one was great also. And it was, and it still is. But just as the internet and social media and everything else has grown, so has the ability to put things like this together. So everybody take a look at it, and we'll still be talking about the website behind it. Okay?
Thank you for all the work you did, obviously.
Thank you.
A lot of work.
Thank you, a lot of work. Thank you very much.
So we have a subcommittee for the finance committee that we meet once a month. Some months we met twice a month. We've been discussing a lot of options put on the table. Myself and Councilwoman Kane sit on it. Some members of the public, Mr. de Blasio as CFO has been there, and Mr. Hill as our administrator. And we've tried to take the task of, again, not leaving anything off the table as far as options what we can do to revitalize the town. One of the things that have come up that we're going to have probably a little more detail than what you're going to get tonight maybe, of a presentation of this people that want to come in and do certain things in the town. So we thought it was good to bring them to the council table and lay it out to everybody in a public meeting and see what they think. And then obviously have some other meetings that will be public and some with subcommittees that aren't public about what we can do if we want to move this project forward, or any others. With that, I'm going to bring up Rick Korn, who's going to talk about the Highlands Health and Fitness Summary Report. project actually. Mr. Korn?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Highlands Health and Fitness, just to give you a little background on myself, I live in town, live now up the hill. I used to live down on Jackson Street, so saw the destruction firsthand. I, for a living, write business plans, usually for very large companies, mostly in the sports and entertainment area. I work hand in hand with an organization called IMG, which is the world's largest sports management company. We represent over 1,500 athletes, almost all of the professional sports leagues. We're also owned by William Morris, so we have a tremendous number of entertainers and that are under our belt. So in looking at Highlands over the past 2 years, I've done a lot of due diligence. We originally started with looking at building a hotel here in town, and I've been working with an organization called Interstate Hotels, which is the world's largest hotel management company, development management company. They did a feasibility study in conjunction with a company called RevPar International. RevPar is one of the probably the largest company that does feasibility studies in the hotel industry, along with Cornell University, which is the largest hotel management college in the world. They did a feasibility study. The feasibility study came back great. And the big issue with any coastal community, of course, with hotels is that they tend to be seasonal. No problem filling up the hotel from Memorial Day to Labor Day, maybe a little bit beyond, but the rest of the year is somewhat of an issue in northern coastal communities. So we basically came up with the idea of how do we fill the hotel year round? How do we revitalize the town? And we started to develop a concept called Highlands Health and Fitness, which would be a hotel and village, health and fitness village, that we originally looked at doing on the waterfront, but decided we wanted to be a little bit closer to within walking distance of the ocean and to Hartshorn Park. And we also wanted to revitalize a part of the town that we felt was much needed. So we've been looking at property on Bay Avenue that would start at where the American Legion is, go down to the church on that side of the street. On the opposite side of the street, we would go down from approximately the same area, maybe Arnie's Park property down to Carla's property, and totally rebuild it. And there's 3 different levels on that side of the street. On the original side of the street would be the hotel. Attached to the hotel would be state-of-the-art athletic facilities, swimming pools, tennis courts, box lacrosse, everything you can possibly imagine. It would be indoor and outdoor, state-of-the-art. On the opposite side of the street would be a large open market. If you've ever been to Faneuil Hall in Boston or the Inner Harbor, very similar. And it would be all healthy. I don't mean to turn my back on.
That's okay, right? You talk to
So on the ground floor would be this large open market. On the second floor, we would put in everything from CrossFit facilities to Pilates to dance studios, you name it. And then on the third floor would be all medical. Medical meaning physical therapy, doctors, orthopedic doctors. I've been talking with a number of university hospitals, in particular research hospitals, not just sports-related research, but health-related research that's being done. And there's a great need for those hospitals to reach out to potential patients that they currently have difficulty reaching, even though their services are free. So we would go, I've spoken to the University of Rochester Medical School, their Parkinson's Research Group, their head trauma group, Johns Hopkins University, various very famous sports medicine doctors who do knees, ankles, shoulders, etc. And there's been a very, very positive response. On that front, the real core of this plan would be that. The real basis of the plan would be the health and fitness and medical aspects of it. They're long-term, very high-tech types of programs. There's a lot of money in those programs, and there's a big need to spread out beyond where their universities are located. On the hotel side of the street, everything in here we've been talking to professional athletes to invest, to be part of this. There's an athlete that is kind of prototypical of what we're looking for, a guy named Keith Mitchell who played in the NFL. You should look him up, he's an amazing guy. He was an all-pro NFL player, got hit, became crippled, and kind of healed himself through yoga. And now he travels the world as the foremost authority on yoga. So it would be a total rebranding of the town. We're talking to celebrity chefs to kind of, look at how we can build out the restaurants and so on and so forth. Now, the real key to this is that we want to make this so that everyone who lives in the town, whether you rent or you own, would have an opportunity to invest in the project. Whether you invest $20 or $20,000, you can actually own a piece of this. So we're going to set aside a certain percentage for the community to invest in. Community will create also community pools. People that live in town will obviously either pay a reduced fee or nothing at all to use the facilities. We want to encourage people in the town. We want to encourage people to use the facilities and kind of bring back the old community pool concept. So everyone who lives in the community would have access to these facilities and the pools, the tennis courts, etc. On the fourth and fifth level of this, we would put condos or long-term stay housing for people who are training, people who are rehabbing from an injury and have to be in town for a period of time. They would have the ability to rent for a month or 2 months or 3 months, I don't know how long that period of time. Again, we've been talking to professional athletes and the top doctors in the world. We're talking to major developers. We are going to build this with state-of-the-art, sustainable materials. So our ultimate goal is to not just rebuild that part of Bay Avenue, but make it sustainable. We've been talking with a lot of organizations from all around the world who make those types of materials, who build that way. And again, our viewpoint is we want to be the health and fitness capital of the world right here in Highlands. We feel that given our proximity to New York and our proximity to major league sports teams and colleges and universities in the area, that this is a very doable project. So spent the last 2 years doing a lot of due diligence, talking to a lot of companies, partnering with interstate hotels, talking to the professional athletes, talking to some league officials. As part of that rebranding, we're going to start in June. We've been putting together an event, which we call the Highland Native Games, utilizing all the natural resources around Highlands, the beach, the ocean, the rivers, in particular Hartshorn Park, and creating events, really one big event that would be televised. We've been talking to Reebok about sponsoring it, and we'll create kind of a sports festival in town, and the games will be part of that festival. In June, we're targeting late June to do a qualifying event for amateur athletes, and then in September, the top amateur athletes will go against pro athletes in this event. Similar course, a little bit more difficult. It's an 8-mile course. Trust me, it's really intense. And we're not using anything artificial. The only thing that's artificial are the sneakers they're wearing, and hopefully they'll wear clothes. But everything else is we're not, it'll be pulling logs up hills. It'll be using the ocean, swimming in the ocean, and it'll all be a timed event. So what we've done is we've been talking to a number of different developers. We've been talking with the sports leagues, professional athletes, potential investors, and we think this could be very, very exciting. Everyone that we brought it to has really gotten very excited about it. I think it'll bring it will give the opportunity not only for the community to invest, but our businesses in town that close in the wintertime will now be able to have year-round business. And I think it'll encourage some people, maybe even in this room, to start their own businesses. That is where we are at. Right now, we're kind of focused on creating these events and meeting with potential developers. And shortly, we'll be talking to some of the business owners and residents that live in the strip that we're looking at. Any questions?
What do we need if we could?
Well, one area that is probably the most important part of this is the hotel would be built, if you look at the empty lot next to the American Legion, and like I said, up to the church. And behind that is the municipal facility, which if we can move that, what we would build back there would be, from Bay Avenue to the hill. What we would build back there would be all, bottom level would be parking. Above that, we would have the facilities, the tennis courts, the swimming pools, etc., and build up from there. So ideally, what we would like is to move that facility because it's really prime location for what we want to do. And that would give us enough room to build. Right now, we're projecting about 120 room hotel, between 120 and 150 room hotel, and that would give us enough room.
So you're talking, it's a recycling yard?
Yeah, the recycling.
And the borough
DPW.
yard,
The
DPW?
DPW, yes.
Okay, and does it include where the borough trailers are now?
Yes.
And the police department?
Yes.
Well, where the
From
police
street,
department is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And part of our goal is, phase one is what I described up to the church. Phase two would go down further days on that side of the street, including where Borough Hall is now, probably stop where Borough Hall is, and then build a new Borough Hall as part of this complex, in the back part of the complex where the fire station is.
So what I think, obviously, the next question is going to be, if there's some sort of, without a visual concept, or some sort of plan,
Yes.
so we can give it to our financial people,
Yes.
especially our tax assessor,
Mhm.
and find out exactly what that would mean to us, dollars and cents,
Yes.
as a town. As opposed to what we're making now on our own lot, which is zero, the other stuff like that. And then take a hard look at what you're looking at that's against the current zoning and things like that, because we're actually right now doing a revisit of the master plan.
Right.
We have subcommittees on that as well as finance.
Right.
So we're gonna wanna weigh in from both of those subcommittees as well as obviously this table.
Sure.
And the planning board table.
Yes. Yeah.
And possibly even zoning to
Yeah.
what we need.
We're working on kind of a preliminary site map that will, affect the first phase of what we want to do. The
Right.
second phase, as I said, goes a little bit further up Bay Avenue, but that's the basic plan.
And if I can just say something, I think a lot of us, we don't even think about this, the first thing you think of is taxes, revenue,
Yes.
taking care of the blight of some of our
Sure.
hugest problems, but I think for me, what's very important too is it's gonna create jobs.
No doubt.
Correct.
And we have such a diverse community where we have doctors here and we have cashiers here, and if you have a food store on the bottom and doctors on the top, you're creating a workforce that can live in their community and work in their community, and I think that's huge for us.
One of the most important things to us as part of this plan is exactly that. It's to get people to bring them back to work and keep them in the town, not only increasing the tax base, as you said. We will give residents in the town first shot at jobs. We will also train them. I had a long conversation the other day with Interstate Hotels, which manages hotels, and they would do the training for people
Do
working.
they manage 2 or 3, or how many of them manage?
Interstate is the largest, but thousands around the world.
we have so many, you know, people that work in restaurants and stuff, and they essentially don't work all winter, you know, it would be a way to keep everybody working.
You're right.
Right, so I would assume the business plan would actually have part-time jobs, long-term.
Yeah. That's exactly right, you know, it'll have the gambit of the different types of jobs, different levels.
Great, thank you.
This event you're planning in the spring,
Yes,
obviously it's a test mark to see how you respond. Is that the end goal to make sure you got your investment capital?
No.
Oh, big numbers here.
yeah, no, it has nothing to do with the investment capital, on the real estate part of the project. No, we've teamed up with, large event, producers who produce mud runs and those types of events. Actually, ING, we produce, the New York City Marathon, Boston Marathon. So we're going to utilize our contacts in that area. They've been to town many times. We've spent an enormous amount of time mapping out the course.
Great.
So by the way, that race will start in Veterans Park and end in Veterans Park. And it goes from there, it goes over the bridge, you go to the ocean, swim in the ocean, you come back. It's insane.
I appreciate what you're saying, and I'm sorry I'm going to put you on the spot. I mean, you're talking millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Yes.
I don't want to pump our town up and say it's pipe dream.
No, you know.
That was my next question, what's the total dollar for
Yeah, I
this
mean-
project?
Well, that's going to depend, you know, we're still doing some of our due diligence on that front, but we're bringing in some major companies that, in fact, in the development area, redevelop cities.
Your Rouse Company, Turner.
Right.
You got your Starwood. I know that the hotel industry quite well.
Yes,
So,
and so we're, those numbers are big for you now, but for the companies that,
it's not.
it's not. In fact, you know, the biggest problem is a lot of these companies would rather redevelop the entire town.
Great.
You know, so this is relative. I'm not going to say it's small for them, but in comparison,
It's what you're attracted to.
It's very attractive. What's attractive to them is location, location, location. I think we have in this town the best location on the east, you know, on the eastern seaboard. You know, with our location to our proximity to New York City and to Philadelphia and the whole tri-state area. I can't think of an area in the area that is as appealing as this. And the ferry means a lot to them.
Yeah.
You know, being a 40-minute, you know, ride.
And Haverstraw that we built.
What?
Haverstraw, the Hudson River is a very town, very similar to this.
Yeah.
Went through a renaissance as a result of what you're talking about.
Right.
The investment capital was huge.
Right.
And it's probably a lot more than what they expected, but the payoff
Payoff is huge.
to the community as
Yes.
well.
So, just to be clear, the event that we're doing is not a test for investors at all. But it's something that, you know, we think, it's part of the rebranding.
Start the ball rolling.
Start the ball rolling.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Dale, FEMA director.
Hi, Mayor, thank you. Many of you by now, you've seen my notice I put out back at the end of October. Basically what stemmed from that was a conversation I had with FEMA out of New York. They requested that we stop reviewing our downtown, our floodplain projects based on the 2014 maps and go back to the 2009 maps. What stemmed from that was another resident in town in the 2009 V zone who had moved to an A zone, finished his project, and was hit with another $35,000 insurance increase. My immediate question was, well, we're 2 years and 200 houses into this. What are we doing? Followed by, all right, where are the maps? You know, the trigger here is for FEMA to adopt these maps. That makes all this go away. That basically helps everybody from the individual property owners to entire communities moving forward. I asked for something in writing from FEMA. They wouldn't do it. They won't put anything in writing. They never do. I went to the state. The state pretty much told me the same thing. That basically, yeah, we know you're frustrated, but go back to the 2009 maps. Personally, I have a hard time with that, considering I tell one person that they can do an A zone, which is a solid foundation of flood vents, rebuild your house, rebuild your life, your livelihood, to this, and then your neighbor can't do that now. But in 16 months from now, he or she can, which makes no sense. The piers and pilings are more expensive right now. Plans have to be changed. It doesn't affect those who were approved prior, those who were already in the system prior to November 1. FEMA told me that they didn't want to make a big ordeal out of this, and I questioned, well, how can you not at this point? You know, how can you not make a big ordeal out of this? You're affecting everybody along the shoreline, not just the Highlands, but the Bay Shore and the ocean front that got slammed. I could never get a straight answer out of them. So basically, where we are now is, and then there was some resentment from residents, rightfully so. Tara, well, she lives up on the hill and she's so resentment. But, you know, well, you have nothing in writing, how can you make this change? Well, I understand that, and normally I would agree with that, but do you roll the dice here and keep doing what you're doing and have that person build to what you've approved and then get the $40,000 insurance increase and then you can't help them? You know, FEMA said they're going to Washington to help those of you that have been up already and built in that A-zone standard in the old V, but they're not doing it moving forward. And I said, well, give it to me in writing. And again, he said, well, you've been told. And that's what we're going to tell people. If you don't do this and they want help, we're going to say no because you've been told. And they said, we'll also have, also adversely impact your NFIP rating if you don't comply. So when I went to the state with this, again, the state, said, well, they understand we're frustrated, but it's FEMA's lead. And then, the state conveniently forgot that they met with us out here. And I personally took the gentleman around town, and he can't seem to recall any of it at all. So, I mean, the frustration on my end, I can review and approve or deny anything based on any standards I have, but it's easy for me to do by a desk, but not to you people that have the houses that you're trying to get back into, or trying to rebuild, or trying to rebuild your lives, and that's where I am now with this. So, talking to Mayor and Council earlier, what we're going to do is we're going to put a resolution together, going to get a FEMA rep in this room. I'm going to do my damnedest to do that. And basically get support along the Bay Shore area and moving down through the southern county as far as we need to go. Congressman Pallon's office, the county, the governor's office, and try to get support, basically get FEMA to adopt these maps quicker. Right now, the latest I'm hearing now is early 2016. That's 3.5 years since the storm hit, and they claim they were working on these prior to the storm. So what's the disconnect here? If you already had the data you claimed before Sandy, why 3.5 years after the storm are we going to deal with this?
Get their money back.
Exactly. And that's exactly right there. And then when I said this, when I said to the state, yeah, you're good. When I said to the state, I said, well, what are you supposed to tell people in the meantime? Well, tell them to sit tight. Well, you got another hurricane season. How am I going to tell somebody to sit tight when their house is still on the ground, so to speak? And sit tight for another year yet.
And let's be clear, Dale, so far, everything that's been done in the town, to your knowledge, has been approved and done the correct way.
Let me tell you something.
Private people, contractors, and everything else.
Mayor, from day one, this is the directive we've got. And that from when those original ABFEs came out where everybody was in a V zone, and then when the new maps came out, the question was asked, all right, these are our new standards. Yes, they are. There's articles all over the internet saying that these are the new standards, these are what everybody's building to. And these maps that are out now were supposed to be adopted at the end of 2013, prior to these insurance policies being renewed. Well, the official rollout didn't come until January 14th, earlier this year. And then, we're going to adopt them in the summer. And then, there was a meeting that myself, Mr. Hill, and Mr. Card went to, and they said, well, we're looking at early 2016 now, by the time they get adopted. So that's a couple of insurance cycles in already. So now they're sweating. They're starting to sweat. There's a lot of finger pointing going on. I'll absolutely sit here tonight and I'll stand by my word that we have done nothing wrong in this town as far as approving and reviewing these applications. There's no doubt in my mind. We've approved based on the guidance that we were provided. And now they're backpedaling. And they leave it to guys like me to disperse this news, unfortunately. So we're not gonna sit. We're not gonna take this take it verbatim. We're gonna try to push and try to fight them as much as we can. Again, with the resolution and trying to get support from the surrounding communities and the politicians above, but I mean, that's where we are right now.
May I ask a question?
Go ahead, please. Name and address.
Emery Trey, 29 Shrewsbury Avenue. So Dale, as you know, I was approved for the AE build, even though I'm on Shrewsbury Avenue in the E13 zone. And we're literally starting to have the permit for the foundation, we're all ready to go, and I'm gonna build the house that we approved. Does it put me at risk at all for my RREM grant?
You know what, Henry, I would say that you're safe because you were in the pipeline before this November 1st came around. But again, not getting anything in writing from FEMA or the insurance companies, I wouldn't bet 100%,
Did you even
unfortunately.
get that in writing though?
Oh, heck no.
I mean, I don't know what to mean, any of us who have an RREM grant who are building a foundation, are they now gonna come back to us and say, you have to pay $150,000?
Henry, I have no idea on this.
We're just starting myself, so.
They blindsided me on this. You're not alone. There was another resident down at Recreation with the same thing, had the REM grant, was approved, already in the pipeline, was ready to go, and then he's like, well, wait a minute now, if I gotta have to do this, are they gonna, I got a gap here.
It's more money.
Right, am I gonna be able to get this, so I mean,
It's
it's,
just the insurance, that's one thing, but if it's the insurance and the risk of having to repay the REM through some idiot period of time when they don't approve, like,
Right.
that's not a small matter.
it's not, and that's why I'm not taking this as a small matter. There's no way it's a small matter at all.
I appreciate that you're fighting for us, and that's why I'm here tonight, because this is exactly the question I wanted to ask, but I don't know if I should have the guy start doing the foundation, like, I don't know what to do. He's literally supposed to start, we've got all permits, everything's done. But I can't afford to repay $150,000.
I mean, my first step would, I'd talk to the grants people.
They don't.
Again, right, let me guess, they don't respond, right?
We tried that.
There we go. So you see, we're all facing the same runaround.
Right.
I mean, you more so because it is your houses.
I can't sit tight renting for another year.
I understand. Unfortunately, I can't give you a 100% answer on that. Especially with the curveball they just threw me. Everything was going fine.
If I may, we just finished the entire, we just finished the whole REM with completely done. They were more concerned about the CA that the town signed off, that we were built to the standards that were compliant at the time.
At the time, right.
So, I'm not gonna speak for REM, but I'm just saying that's what we
So I
had
would
to
be able
show
to give
to
them
them.
that.
Yes.
I would be able to say I have my floodplain.
Yeah, and I would stand behind that. The approval that I gave you, I'd absolutely stand behind that approval.
Name and address.
Chris Francie, 36 Fifth Street. Anne Marie, as she stated, I did elevate in the former B zone to the 80 standards. I do have a full basement. I'm waiting for my last 60 grand from REM. And my personal calculation is I'm going to just proceed and not raise this issue because REM hasn't raised the issue with me.
And you met it at the time with this thing before.
Correct. I don't know what I'm gonna do with at the end of this process, but somebody did ask, CBS wants to do a story on this similar situation, and I'm not so sure the publicity will help Highlands. Yeah, in my mind, at this point, I think REM isn't gonna rock the boat unless somebody forces them. That's my.
But isn't the rent grant coming from FEMA? So that's my concern is FEMA.
No. The REM is not coming from FEMA. The REM is coming from HUD.
Okay.
It's HUD money.
That's my worry that it's FEMA money that they're gonna pull back.
And your protection on insurance is make sure you maintain your insurance.
Yeah, when you do it for the houses for them.
Okay, but you accept it, maintain your insurance. Maintain your grandfathered status.
Because you accepted that as part of rent.
Correct, that is the key.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Because I've had to tear my house down, you can't maintain
Right.
insurance.
I said, accepting what the situation you're in, there are a lot more people who have,
I know, they're lucky.
who are starting the process. Maintain your grandfathered status, and I hope it'll shake out in the end. I honestly don't know what's going to happen. Personally,
It just seems like they just keep changing the rules. They seem as they go, and
I'm waiting.
But they're not putting any of it right.
I am waiting for my last payment. I will report back that I was successful.
Okay.
Pouring back is such a nightmare.
Okay. Last thing is appointments to the planning board. We had one resignation and one removal for non-showing up. So we had alternate number 1, who was Chris Francie, move up to.
Mr. Gallagher's unexpired.
Correct. The new alternate number 1, I'll put Rick O'Neill on, and number 2, Greg Wise. So we follow the process like we always did, put somebody into the bottom, move the other people up. I'm sorry, I have one change in I don't have the correct agenda on the bottom. Change in curfew?
Yeah, I put that on the agenda, just to talk, and I had talked briefly with Chief Fluid. We had had an issue with one of the candy canes being, destroyed and stuff like that, and some of the mayhem that happens in the park at night, some of the stuff that happens. So I didn't know if it was a good idea to change the curfew from Labor Day to Memorial Day to 8 o'clock as opposed to 9 o'clock. It's very dark in the parks, that kind of stuff. But again,
What's your thoughts on that?
just for the winter hours while it's darker,
Labor Day to Memorial Day, basically.
because we're seeing damage in those areas.
Well, that's pretty early. It is pretty early. Instituting a curfew originally back in the 90s to have one all did a world of good. The issue we have now is that, we've always had groups of kids walking up and down May Avenue, walking them out of the park. They go on the street and go somewhere else. That's a problem. If we kick them out of the street, could it work? It might. We might get, maybe look for some feedback. There's going to be some pushback.
Do you think we should go from an hour earlier instead of 2?
No, right now it's 10 o'clock.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Go to 9 instead of 8. No, I knew it was that.
We can do a little bit more.
Yeah,
Get
that's
back to
fine.
us?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think
Do some
about how we,
research.
Make a suggestion too, Chief, that we talk about the park so that we make it consistent. Because sometimes in the park facility, we had dusk before, that type of thing.
right, yeah, you have those conversations where their dust till dawn, but there's a 10 o'clock curfew and they're in the park all night, and then,
So,
let's try to make it, we'll try to make it a little more uniform.
Get back to your recommendation. We have, I think, a reading from Corvette Fiorigo, about a repeal of R-14-220.
You want me to read my letter?
If you want, sure. It's on here, so that's why I said.
Oh, it's on it? Dear Council, at the last council meeting, I asked that the council would revoke, repeal, or write a new resolution invalidating resolution R-14-220 based on the grounds that R-14-220 is unconstitutional and in direct violation of the First Amendment. Since no one at the council meeting made a motion to do that, I am once again asking you, this time in writing, for a motion to be brought forward at the next council meeting to revoke R-14-220. In recent days, on various Facebook posts, it has come to my attention that Council President Rebecca Kane, who was very instrumental in pushing R-14-220 and who voted for the passage of this violation of First Amendment rights, has repeatedly refused to abide by the resolution she asked Borough Council Bruce Padula to draft and present for passage. R-14-220 states, be it further resolved that any elected borough official or other borough official, employee, agent, representative, or volunteer, including appointees to boards, commissions, committees, or subcommittees, who wishes to post on Facebook page Highland, New Jersey, or other similar social media site, which is currently or may be in the future established, shall state in such posting that the comment, posting, or statement from that individual is a statement, comment, or posting of that individual only and does not represent an official statement, comment, or posting on behalf of the Borough of Highlands. Since the council president has continually posted "This is Becky Kane" as her said disclaimer, she herself has repeatedly been in violation of resolution R-14-220 with no repercussion or reprimand by the council for her clear disregard for R-14-220. In addition to the clear violation of First Amendment rights, resolution R-14-220 is an embarrassment to our town, particularly with our council president publicly ignoring it on social media sites, and I am asking the council to draft a resolution to remove R-14-220 from our records immediately.
Okay, any discussion at the table?
I did email, I think, everybody on it. I agree with it 100%. myself, and I will not speak to Tara, we voted no.
Okay.
And these delegation of the rest of the council to examine what they voted and approved and support what Claudette said.
Okay.
And Ms. Kane, I've asked for a disclaimer statement, legal disclaimer statement posted from our attorney here. But that's for that to be part of our, and there's other employees that are in violation of it. So we have a quagmire here.
Okay.
And it's an embarrassment in the municipalities. When I was down there, I was Q&A about it several times.
Okay. I haven't heard anything from anybody, and I don't believe it's unconstitutional problem, because we're not telling me what not to say, it's saying you gotta say it when you're wrong. Guys, does anyone have any other comments? Okay. Thank you. We're gonna go to public portion. Kim Scorker?
Kim Scorpio, 315 F Shore Drive. I just want to second what Claudette said. I think it should be repealed. We paid to have R14-220 drafted by the attorney. It was wasted time the council meeting voted on, and it's been wasted time pretty much every meeting since. I hope it will be rescinded, and I hope that Becky will start following it until it is rescinded. I'd like to know the status of Captain's Cove Marina. Back in October at one of the meetings, it was discussed that a letter would be sent requesting cleanup of the parking lot, and if no action was taken, that the township would do it. At that time, the end of November seemed to be a reasonable timeline. I was just wondering if it'll be done maybe by the end of December.
Bruce, can you speak to this?
Yeah, that letter was sent. Mr. Rozak is here. Gave him a deadline.
And he's on the list to speak later, so he'll be giving us.
Gave him a deadline of December 10th. We also met with him, his attorney. When I say we, me, Tim Hill, Dave Mercado, met with Mr. Rozak and his attorney to tell him specifically what Mr. Mercado's concerns were. I won't put words in his mouth. I think he wants to address everybody.
And he's on, like I said, he's on the list. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question on R14-238, which was voted on tonight for the 9/11 shared services contract. How does the cost of the contract this year compare to last year? Is it the same? Did they increase their costs?
I believe, and I don't have it in front of me, but there was a slight increase. The county 911 system, as Chief explained before, and we concurred with our emergency officials, if we don't have a system, we need to go with the county, and part of that is spread out through the whole county. But they just invested, I don't know how many millions into a new communication center out there, so I don't see the cost anytime going down. But the cost of providing our own equipment to do what we get would be probably 4 to 5 times that annual fee.
So we're at the mercy of whatever they decide to charge us.
Unfortunately, this time we are, unless there's no alternative.
Okay. I just want to mention that Chief Fluid's report was not in our agenda packet tonight. And I would like to know if we could put everybody's report in the agenda packet and make sure it's in there. Chief Fluid's, Carla's, Tim's, Dale's. Some things are read so quickly that I can't keep up with my note taking and a lot gets lost. And then, it's a month or two before it gets around, the minutes get around to being approved. And I would like to have, aside from just the YouTube, which you can sometimes hear, sometimes not. So I would like to have it in writing if that's at all possible. And I know these packets get kind of big, so maybe if we could just put those reports online separately, aside, and maybe not print them out, that would be fine too, just to have access to them. I think that's everything.
Eugene Wagner? I'm sorry, Van Wagner?
Yes, Eugene Van Wagner, 8 Beach Boulevard, Islands. I'd like to know, where do we stand with the Army Corps of Engineers with the seawall? We're supposed to be back before the end of the year.
Have we heard anything from them?
No, we've been in touch with the Army Corps. They still haven't finalized the conceptual design of the southern section of Bay Avenue down near Veterans Park. There was concerns about the design, talking about potential floodgate or something down there. They haven't made any final, and they're not going to come back to us until they have that design almost complete. So we are in contact with them. I'm really disappointed that they weren't back to us this summer, but that's the latest status on it.
But it's still live, it's still happening.
The study is still alive, yes.
There's no
Not the
decision
project.
if
The
it's happening or
project
not.
hasn't been
That's not,
finalized.
The study
Still
is
live,
still
it's still
alive.
happening. It's gonna, when they come back with the proposal, it's either the council or the town votes on it.
They're going to present the findings of the study. I'm sure we're going to get
At a
that in
public
advance, and then we're going to have many public sessions on
It
that.
hasn't happened yet. And the second question would be referring to this here, my house. I was approved prior to the letter, I suspect.
Yes.
However, do it at my own peril. I can see that now. But I'm a little bit, what I'm really asking, Dale, is that would the town support me with any REM problems? Based on this letter and the fact that it became a different project. In other words, all I'm saying, would the town support me and say, yes, this is a new deal?
I would stand behind my approval that I gave you.
It was prior to
which was
November
prior
1st.
to them, that directive. With regards to what REM does, or HUD, and that's something that's going to be beyond what the borough does. I mean, like I said, I would support, the approval and the review that I did on your property. But I couldn't,
I'm just saying, they're gonna say, but we were gonna give you 50,000, now it's 200,000, and, and can I get some more money or something? They're gonna say, well, why? And I'm gonna say, well, you support me in that. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, this reason why is we got a letter here from FEMA that says, don't do it.
Right.
We would say,
And you wouldn't
I'll
work
speak for myself, we would support anything that the
And that's what
officials
would happen.
prior to when, the date they're saying. The town would support it.
Thank you very much. I'm done.
Thank you, sir. Jen Olson? Okay, Carlos Afalo?
I just wanted to touch a little bit on the vandalism, not just to the Christmas decorations, but all the time. The park closes at dusk regardless of a curfew, and all the litter, all summer long, it was very embarrassing in the farmer's market. Tonight, Mary Margaret was in the park in the freezing cold, cleaning up around the gazebo. I saw her on my way here. Diane, our staff is constantly, everything gets smashed last year. The last couple of years, all of the Christmas balls that we bought for the trees were smashed. It's not just the candy canes. Last year, some were stolen. But if the park closes at dusk, I'm not sure, why things in the park are getting destroyed. And the littering is really bad. So I just think we really need to do something, not just lighting, we definitely need lighting, maybe some security cameras. We need something. We can't have the police, I can understand that they can't be there all the time. And I call the police all the time, I'm sure they can attest how many times I call, 2 times a week, that the park is closed at dusk and why are they still there? So I just think we really need to somehow enforce that, and I wish the chief was still here.
Jared Feliciano?
Jared Feliciano, 14 Peak. Last week when I came home, I noticed that Valley Avenue was turned into a one-way. Question is why, who benefits and who don't benefit?
Council voted on that. Somebody presented to us the amount of accidents that would happen on that turn off of the highway. 16 accidents in 17 years. The impact it did to the property owner there, of the chance of the person going into their property while they were in the yard. So we put it at a public meeting, we voted on it, I believe it was unanimously. So who benefits was, sorry?
For one person benefit?
I don't think it was for one person, I think it was for anybody, whoever lives right near there. It's a family that lives there.
One family.
And they requested it, so we looked at all the data and voted on it.
What I've noticed is about 40 families on that street alone now that are just being put aside because you're not paying any attention to their use. Everybody now, I mean, if I look across the highway, I have to go down to the bridge to turn around. I don't know, I was completely surprised when it's been getting like this.
Apparently it was noticed, we had meetings, 2 meetings, and then voted on it.
Well, could it be reconsidered again?
I guess we could reconsider anything, but
everybody I've spoken to so far that was past Island Avenue, they're all upset over it.
I don't speak for anybody here, but I haven't had one person until tonight say anything to me about it.
It just happened this week.
No, I'm more than a week.
Last Friday.
It's been a month.
The sign hasn't been up since last Friday.
Okay.
I mean, it's the first time I noticed it, maybe it was up.
Yeah.
I never noticed it.
No problem.
Something like that, yeah, that's what I'm saying, I guess so, I don't see the sign. But
I
I'd like
would
to be
personally-
reconsidered somehow, take a look at it, because it is a big inconvenience to people that live past Island Avenue. And I even talked to some people who live before Island Avenue, and they're a little upset. But if they don't come here and tell you, you'll never know.
True.
Agreed. And if the person didn't come here and bring everything to our attention that was happening, we would have known that either.
And I've been here 35 years using that street, I don't know about 17 accidents.
That's just the data we have from the officials.
Must be a big time working.
Thank you, Jerry. Peter Mullen?
Peter Mullen, Leavenworth Place. I'll follow up on the FEMA things. The notification, you got some sort of notification that created this November letter from
It's the
them?
verbal, Peter, they won't put it in writing, but what are you gonna do at that point? You know, you roll the dice and continue what you're doing and then put everybody else in jeopardy, the entire community? Or do you go with what they're saying? You know, I've asked for it repeatedly in writing, and they just won't do it.
And do you have any idea of the impact on that on your ICC for projects that are already approved?
For projects already approved, they again told me, they being FEMA, that they will be covered. They're going to Washington to make sure that everything is okay financially with those projects, insurance monies, so on and so forth. But moving forward, they're not going to.
There have been instances in our neighborhood where that hasn't been the case.
I understand. They're
So
looking
is
at,
it an individual basis?
they're looking to get those, and there was a couple properties that came up, two that come to mind immediately, that they were talking about, and to get the insurance premiums repealed, reduced back down again, and get covered for everybody that's been approved to those, to the A standards in the old V zone.
And do I need some sort of written documentation from the zoning officer with regard to compliance with the advisory-based flow?
You approve, right? You've already got your approvals from me.
Okay.
And I'll stand behind them, and if I need to do another letter, I absolutely will.
Prior to that date.
Right, prior to that November 1st date, which is no problem.
Okay. Okay. Carolyn Brilliant?
Carolyn Bouillon, 12 Moore Street. I'd also like for 14220 to be repealed. When I was at the League's meeting with Councilwoman Ryan, the attorney that presented there spoke distinctly about official government sites and how disclaimers needed to be made on those sites. It did not have any, there was no jurisdiction for public sites or personal sites or any other site that is not official town site. Since we don't have an official town Facebook page, there is no reason for us to have this resolution that's also a toothless resolution, so why bother having it in the first place? It just goes round in a circle.
Okay.
But if you go onto the site, the League site, you'll see a full presentation from that attorney where she talks about different things such as this as it pertains to Facebook on official town outlets.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. Fred Rosiak?
Fred Rosian, 9 Green Place, Highlands. I first had a question for the council. I spoke to both Mr. Ron Gentili and Andrew Zuzalak from the Army Corps who were here early in the year to make their presentation back in October. And they had told me that they were under pressure from their management to get back to the town by the 1st of December. Some kind of a recommendation or what have you on the flood mitigation program. So my question was, what have you guys heard? Obviously, you've heard nothing.
Right. Said that.
And the gentleman's name is David Gentile, but you're right. He's one of the, he is one of the individuals that we've been in contact with. And they were mandated to get moving on this. And again, that's coming from their bosses as well to get this study done.
Okay. So you've heard nothing. And then I'd also like to thank the mayor and council for allowing Mr. Hill, Mr. Padula, and Dave Ricardo to meet with us on the Captain's Cove issues. I think we were able to clarify a couple of chicken and egg situations like the Washington Avenue situation. And I'm happy to report to Mr. Hill that within 2 weeks of your being able to get the stuff out of the side of the road, we can finish the repair of the bulkhead there and close that up. We also were able to develop a plan for dealing with some of the issues that are bothering some people in the neighborhood.
question about December, we'll certainly be moving forward to take care of that within December. I beg you to understand that we are a marina, an operating marina. We've been here before zoning and the town existed. Certain issues like pilings and equipment to put pilings in need to exist in a marina. And therefore, we're trying to work out some way to deal with that without annoying neighbors. But the fact is, we pay $28,000 a year in taxes as a marina. We can make things look a lot nicer. There's no excuse for some of the rubble and stuff. And frankly, I take personal blame for not dealing with things in the past year or so. I think you'll find that we'll satisfy the requests of most reasonable people in that regard. So thank you for meeting with us.
Thanks for coming tonight, too, Fred. All I would ask is that we just, if there is something where there's a roadblock, we communicate that with each other. And the timely matter, so we don't, it doesn't go on months and we don't know.
Right, and I think, frankly, there were several big issues that I think resolved.
Good. If anything little comes up, just, let's keep the lines open so we can keep moving forward.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for showing up tonight, sir. Barbara Annucci?
Well, I want to support the R14220. I really believe it should be repealed. Other than the personal views of whether it's unconstitutional or not, I can't argue with the mayor, so I won't even try. But I do believe by having it in or on our books in Highlands, it is an image and a reflection that is far worse than what you were trying to control from your constituents. And in fact, you are turning very qualified, energetic, and positive people from volunteering, because that was the last straw for a lot of people. And I'm not speaking about myself. You are turning away a lot of very good Highland resources by having such idiotic things on the books. So I just want to say that about R14220. And then I also have a question. I think this would be more for Mr. Padula. It has to do with the Chapter 2 section of our ordinances for administration, specifically 2-3.3. Since we've had our elections approved, this has to do with the election of the council and the president of the council. I know the dates are going to change, so January 1st is coming up, which is why I'm bringing this up tonight. You need to elect another council president according to the ordinances that do make sense that are on our books. And it says on January 1st, following your election, which because of nonpartisan got a little skewed, the members elect of the Borough Council shall assemble at the usual place of meeting and organize and elect one of their number as council president from among its members. Now, I know on July 1st, this was a mayoral appointment. So my question to Mr. Padula, and you can answer this next meeting. Based on what I'm reading here, the election of the council president is not a mayoral appointment.
It wasn't, we voted. We offered it, and then we rushed it.
Well, when you read the minutes, or documented minutes, that's mayoral appointments, and then everything's just listed, and it was like a consent agenda, bam, everything's done.
I know it's been voted on every year, I'm not disagreeing with what you're reading, but since I've been here, we have offered somebody and everybody else voted on it. Because when years that other people offered.
Okay, according to the minutes from that July 1st meeting,
No,
it is under mayoral appointments.
Well, it's in the wrong place then,
Yeah.
because,
Okay, because I didn't witness the group of you saying who do you want to elect. I just heard the reading of the mayoral appointments that meeting. I was at that meeting.
But I thought we did it in
We did it
January.
in January.
No, you had to do it in July 1st because
We didn't.
Councilman Kane was reelected, so you actually have from July 1st, 2014 to July 1st, 2015 is the term. So all that confusion of different dates and different timelines, I would like Mr. Padula to tell us next meeting how we're gonna handle it this January 1st.
So that'd be something we offer at the meeting.
Or in the December. next
December
meeting,
or the
because-
meeting in
In
January?
January.
Because of the statute.
You didn't have a reorg meeting, or you're not having a January reorg meeting.
But we still do it at the last meeting in December, first meeting in
So
January.
what happens in
Well, you
December?
did it in July,
I'm not disagreeing with that.
so presumably, without looking at how that's worded, it would go for 1 year in July.
Even though the election's changed back now.
Yeah, the election has changed. You're back to your real ordinance that's on the books, 2-3.3. So I'm wondering how you're gonna handle it this year because of that one May election we had in Highlands.
But we'll look at it.
Thank you.
So we're gonna do it next week or the first meeting in January?
Yes.
Probably not next week.
Okay, then first meeting in January.
I would like to also, not forcing a new, God forbid, someone up here resign or not be able to complete their term, how do we handle that? We need to address that. What,
How's that?
Well, we have the, I just gave Carolyn a memo on everyone's term.
I do that, but so let's say I resign, I get hit by a meteor.
Well, let's say.
Well, it'd be filled in the way every other vacancy.
Now it's not.
Because it used to be whoever left,
Whichever party.
if they were Republican or Democrat,
Oh, in terms of that.
right, that was the party that put forth three
County committee
candidates.
put forth 3 candidates and the other council
And
remained.
the other people voted on
I
it.
believe that it's just the council votes, but I'll have to look, I'll let you know.
It's just some clarity on it.
But wait a second, we're responsible for, will you pick anybody?
Well, that's, we need clarification on it.
Right.
Just like a vacancy on a board of ed.
I'm sure it's in the Stafford.
Well, it's in your ordinances, so you can start there.
Okay. John and Nicole Russo.
But they gave municipal government.
Wrong here,
They
brother.
have a rule for it.
Oh, you probably signed up before. So it was attendance.
How you guys doing, right though? Good, everything good? Claudette, 12 seat director.
So my question is, Claire, procedure, are we going to have a motion to have a new resolution to invalidate R 14-220? Yes or no?
We'd have to have somebody offer that, second it, and then get 3 votes.
Well, I speak to that, I can alter it, and then based on votes, one of the three have to change their mind, and they've given no indication that they'd be willing to change their mind. So if one of those three offered it, I would second.
Everything I've read so far gives me no reason to change them. It is not unconstitutional. You can still say anything you want to say. There's just, you have to say you're saying it on your own terms.
But the Constitution reads I can say it unabridged. I don't have to
That's
identify
fine.
myself.
But you're not allowed to yell fire in a crowded room either if there's no fire. That's not freedom of speech either. You can say anything you want to say, but in life there's repercussions. So, if somebody wants to have a coherent written thing sent to us that is based on something other than it being unconstitutional, which our lawyer has already said it's not, I will promise you I'll be more than happy to read it and give it the due diligence.
Okay, and my three lawyers all say it is. So,
Okay.
and my next question is, since Mr. Padula had said this resolution has no repercussions, that stands for this council. So when new people come in and are elected, and they decide, well, I don't like what Claudette is saying, because Claudette is not identifying herself as not representing the borough of Highlands, which is what your resolution states we have to do,
Okay.
which Ms. Kane is not doing,
Okay.
and they decide that they want me to be arrested for this, your resolution allows for that.
Or
Wait a minute. The
Or-
resolution does not allow anyone to be arrested.
So what is not working then? What are you trying to stop us from doing?
From avoiding confusion with speaking as a pseudo member of a committee, council, administrator. Can I finish? As clerk, administrator, saying something online that can be construed as a position of the borough when it's in fact your own individual position. That's all that's asked. The resolution does not restrict you from saying anything. It just asks that you clarify that that is your own opinion and not the opinion of the committee you're on, the borough you're working for, or the borough you're elected to represent.
So just stating my name, that this is Claudette, absolves me of that.
It doesn't impact you. You're not.
Are you
not on
not?
board?
Well, I was on a committee with Mr. Redmond and Mr. Hill concerning certain things with Airbnb and rentals by the night, but that committee only met twice, and then we kind of went to the whatever.
Now, Sandy happened.
And then
Right.
Sandy happened, right. It
Let's
wasn't
get that.
ever dissolved or whatever.
It's not official. Right. Tell me where you're screwing.
Our money, our part people.
Any volunteer. It says any volunteer, so if I hand out a couple of suits with the Red Cross and I say I'm from Highland, I'm screwed.
Carol Bucko.
Carol Bucko, 330 Shore Drive. I wasn't going to bother to bring this up tonight because it seemed like the agenda was very long and it is very late, but I'm going to anyway. On February 8th, 2012, I wrote a letter to Tim Hill, Stephen Pfeffer, and the members of Borough Council. And I indicated in that letter that I had on December 21st, 2010, sent a letter to the Borough Attorney, Scott Arnett, in an attempt to renegotiate our municipal services. I'm just giving you the timeline, you see. I wrote this letter in 2012. In 2010, I wrote a letter to Scott Arnett, Attorney Dominic Manco, Borough Clerk Dinah Flannery, and Administrator Bruce Hilling said that it was being worked on. That was in 2010, and would be completed soon, which we had been previously told for many, many years. Two members of our committee met with Tim Hill on December 2nd, 2011. Since that time, we heard nothing. Then, when Steve Pfeffer decides he's going to retire, all of a sudden it became an issue. Well, that's not true. It became an issue in September of 2013. Was that before the storm, 2013?
No,
12.
Oh, okay, September 2012, we met with Steve Pfeffer.
Oh,
Right before the storm. And he was going to do everything. Okay, the storm came, we got wiped out. We had so much pressing issues fixing our buildings and stuff. So Steve didn't get around to it. And we didn't, we pressed the issue, but we didn't press it hardly because so many people were in strife and everything. But you know, we individually pay taxes, a lot of taxes. Our condo pays about $440,000 taxes to this town. And we are treated like second-class citizens. We don't get any snow removal. We don't get any services from the borough. We don't get any bulk pickup. We only get street lighting and garbage pickup. That's all we get from this borough. And we are paying $440,000 approximately in taxes to this borough. We met with Pat and went over everything that we had gone over with Steve. He was in agreement with Steve. The council refuses to move on. But we have a one-way street on Valley that was not.
Pat has reached out to me and we're putting it.
10 days ago, I was.
Is your name Scott Arnett or Dominic Manco?
So you,
Apparently they're just gonna get
correct?
I would like it done by the end of the year, that's my.
How close are
Maybe by this week.
Really?
we?
Yeah.
Is there anything on lightning rod issue?
Not that I'm aware of.
Pat, do you have everything lined up to get this done?
We're pretty much still there, and I would also
Try to get this
suggest
done by
that we-
next Wednesday.
Well, we're gonna have to have Carol come in and also talk to the attorney, you know, there's a lot to be ironed out here.
Ms. Bucko, I assume you're available to come and talk to the attorney? Could we please try to get this done? Honestly, no offense, I'm tired of talking about it. Let's just get it done. Me too. I'm tired. I know you are more than me.
It's 7 years since we started.
I understand, and I understand the lapse of the 1 year, and I know you held your peace, and I appreciate it, but it's time to put it on.
Thank you.
Mr. Francie, you want to close us out?
Yes, I do. I have three quick things. Chris Francie, 36 Fifth Street. relative to the DBIZ project, Dale, you dumping the water into the open sluiceway between Shore Drive and Bay Avenue is what's really happening now. A. B, the stumbling block to get out of the that sluiceway is two 36-inch pipes going into a 15-inch pipe box into Jones Creek. That's the part that really has to get fixed.
Understood.
And removing the sediments from that open sluiceway is the way we do it now. And it's problematic, because at this point, we do have to get the permits, blah, blah, blah.
Actually, you don't. There's no permit for that. It's a concrete bottom.
So that side there's not.
On the
On the
VFW side,
not
On the other
the
side,
community
there's
center
a
side.
community center side, we still have to get.
Correct, that's correct. The other side there's no.
We want to avoid getting permits.
No, I understand that. I think we had to get permits, at least we were told we had to get permits on a previous, this is before the town,
No, we
before
were held up-
Monmouth County
we were held
took
up
that
on
a
the other
joke.
side. And when
Right.
they, when
But at this
Sandy
point,
was
the major obstruction to the flow is getting into Jones Creek from the sluiceway, because you have, so if you don't fix that, then there's still water's gonna fix.
We've got to fix it somewhere before or
This,
short drive.
They'll be fixed.
okay.
They'll be fixed.
Right?
The second question is on this FEMA directive. You said something that I hadn't heard before, that FEMA reacted to someone having a $35,000 insurance bill as what drove their caution to us?
Yes. That's what sparked their conversation for them to reach out to me, yes. It was someone on Shrewsbury Avenue.
Nobody that's an elected official, nobody.
Right, right. Put the disclaimer in, no Facebook.
No former elected officials.
Do,
To my understanding.
I really do want to ask, who is this FEMA official that we can go back at him?
You met him.
I'm sorry?
You met him already, Steve Ardito.
Okay.
He was one of the guys at those meetings.
Down at the CRS?
Yeah. Rich Einhorn used to represent us years
Yes.
back. He took over for Rich.
I know that, okay,
All right, so he's the gentleman, he's out of FEMA, New York.
okay.
So he got a call from the resident, he came down, and then that's when, for lack of a better term, panic set in with him. You know, and I say with him, I'm sure with his higher ups too, I'm sure he was it's coming from above him. He's the messenger in this one. I'm sure it's not him that's doing this personally, but he was the messenger that was sent.
It's clear though, Christie directed us to follow these.
No doubt.
All right, so.
No doubt. But again, Chris, the caveat here is those maps were to be adopted by the end of 13.
Oh,
We've done it already, right?
Right, and they weren't even introduced formally to the public until 14.
All right.
And now they're saying 16.
You've answered the basic question, which is Steve, all right? And the third thing, we had started a corrective action with Wind and Sea on their bar underneath the main building. What is the status of that? What's happening?
I've been in communication with the noise ordinance kind of thing with, I wish Chief was here because the rewriting the noise ordinance attaching to that. Also, I know Danny has submitted blueprints and is going through the process of Dale. Correct me if I'm wrong, you rejected him and on that, so he knows he has to go through the variance process. So,
Well,
I requested him to come to the planning board, and it's been a struggle getting him there right now.
So at this point, what is the council going to do to,
well, this is what I told Dan. If you don't correct the problems, I'm gonna be your worst nightmare as a councilman, because we're not gonna allow him to do what he's been doing without the corrective measures, to make sure everything's on the up and up.
let's be very clear, during the summer, we were kind of relaxed in enforcement because it was the middle of the season and he couldn't do anything. Now he's not busy, now is the time to get it fixed.
Chris, and I just say to you, I'm in communication with him on a regular basis on this issue. I've discussed it with Dale, I've discussed it with him, and he's been warned verbally in a nice way. Correct the problem, fill out the application, get the blueprints in, and do the marching orders. I'm not gonna tolerate it, I know, I can't speak for the rest of this council. I don't think they're gonna tolerate it either.
Does he understand he might not be able to operate?
He doesn't get it from my statements, and I don't.
Well, that's just, you're just one person.
I get that. I can't speak for them,
Yeah.
but.
I mean, does the council feel that strongly about it?
If he doesn't come to the plan of the board, that park should not open.
Right.
It's now not an emergency situation.
Correct.
He now has time, and I'm not just saying him, it's more than one person,
Right.
more than one business.
Yeah.
They now have time to go do it, they're not under the gun, we didn't just have a storm 3 days ago.
Okay.
So we're all, I believe, a unanimous decision on that.
And
Glad to hear
other
it.
bars have complied.
Sorry?
Other bars have stepped up to the plate and done due diligence. Some of them are not so happy about it, but they've done.
Or at least they started putting plans together.
Yes.
Motion adjourned.
Thank you.
Mayor, I didn't
All
have
right.
a chance to put my name on this, can I ask just 2 questions?
Sorry.
I didn't have a chance to put my name in this, may I ask? Just-
Sure, go ahead.
and
We're not opening up to everybody, guys, sorry, one and that's it.
I'm sorry, I just didn't want to interrupt the meeting because I came in late.
Sorry.
Henry Turner, 29 Shrewsbury Avenue. Dale, do you know whether or not FEMA is instructing other towns in the Bay Shore? Because I saw an article about someone in another town who had the same
They
insurance.
said they did, they said we're not alone in this, and they did mention Union Beach. That was the only town they mentioned by name. And they said they're in the same boat. And they said there's others too, but they didn't
Bill, you can
elaborate.
talk to Henry about this one-on-one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So can I have one more question for Mayor Mills? If I could let this man all over. I believe I'm trying to speak, I'm allowed to speak, is that not correct?
No.
According to the 2 minutes,